All right, you guys already know what time it is. We got to do that disclaimer and that disclosure before we jump off into the trade review. So, disclaimer slash disclosure, please note that the following is not legal advice and is provided for informational and educational purposes only. Investing in securities carries a high degree of risk and can result in the loss of your entire investment. You should consult with a qualified financial advisor or legal professional before making any investment decisions. The information contained in this presentation does not constitute an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments. Any opinions expressed in this presentation are subject to change without notice and should not be relied upon as a recommendation to buy or sell any securities. Please do your own due diligence and research before making any investment decisions. Juan, what's up? Thank you for joining, man. We're just going to do a trade recap. I do daily and weekly recaps of my trades. So just going to tap in right quick and show what happened. As a matter of fact, what I want to do is bring up this screenshot right here. I just want to actually save it to the computer. We'll save image. I probably should have just did copy image and I'm going to have that up. But yo, Lejarasa, thanks for joining, man. Our woman. But yeah, if you're just tapping in with me, I always do trade recaps of my day. So we're peeping out what I traded today, which was BABA, ticker symbol BABA. That is Barry Atom, Barry Atom. But let me go ahead and copy this image. And so what we're taking a look at right now is I just put the screenshots for my trades each day. Thank y'all for joining. What's up, Ohana, Oksana? How do you pronounce that? If you got any questions, please drop them in the chat. I appreciate you spending time with me. Brookie, Detroit, Abdullah, thank y'all for joining. But here is the trade that I did today for, let me bring it over. This was for BABA, BABA. So I made $260 today trading BABA option contracts. And we're going to go over how exactly I did that. But what I want to do is save this image first so I could always have it up and you guys know what exactly I'm talking about. So I'm going to copy that image. Let me go ahead and can't do that. Let me All right, so that's wild. That's wild. Image is not getting copied or pasted, but regardless, what we're gonna do is bring this down here. All right, so we traded Baba today, and let me bring myself up. I'll make myself just a little bit smaller. Boom. All right, so you guys already know. If you follow me, you know that I trade on the like 50, not the 50, but the 30-minute chart. So if you're new to trading, what that means is each one of the candlesticks that I trade on represents 30 minutes of time. So let me go ahead and bring this down and we can get into it. All right. So what we're looking at here is the chart for Baba and what I saw at the beginning. So of course you're looking at the pre-market, right? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining LA Dips Tundex. Thanks for joining everybody. So we're looking at Baba, just a quick trade review for the day. And what we're looking at, okay, over here on the left-hand side, shaded in blue, this is the after hours for yesterday. This was the trading that happened after hours for yesterday, as you can see here. And of course, we're looking at the 30-minute chart. So each one of these rectangles or candlesticks represents 30 minutes of time. Now, what you see here in the kind of orange is the pre-market for this morning. This is the pre-market activity for Baba this morning. So we saw a huge drop down. And in this white shaded area, we also see a gap. So there was a gap down, and then we saw some continued bearish momentum. So if you're new to trading and you don't know what this means or you don't know what this looks like, basically each one of these candlesticks, the red ones anyway, are bearish, meaning that the price went down. And so we had a gap down from the after hours of yesterday to the pre-market of today. And then what we saw in this very, very first candlestick to open up the market was what I would call a bearish engulfing. So I'm going to bring it over just a little bit for us to check out. So if you're looking right here, this last candlestick, which was 6 a.m. West Coast time, was a bearish candlestick. And then at 6:30, when the market opened up for California folks, we had this bullish engulfing to the upside. So what I saw was that the price was below the daily 50% for yesterday, and that there probably was going to be a bullish attempt to close that gap between the after hours market trading and the pre-market trading for today. So this white shaded area, right? So what I took was calls for that bullish upside, didn't get greedy, and then I immediately jumped out and took my 260 bucks. So if you're new to trading, that's how simple it could be. The biggest thing is the psychology and your emotional state and keeping yourself in check. But you don't need to have a crazy trading system. You don't need to have crazy indicators. I've had days, weeks, and months where I was profitable, just keeping it very simple. So just a quick trade recap on Baba. What I really want to do is I want to bring it up. So what I need to do is take a screenshot. That's going to be the only way. The only way for y'all to kind of see it. We'll go right here. Let me move me out the way for just a second. And then I'm going to do a screenshot. All right. This is always a little bit tougher than what it needs to be, but whatever. All right. Let me take a screenshot here. And now I can have it up so we can always go back to what I'm talking about. All right, move this back to where it needs to be, just about. Bring that in, and then we can bring this down. We can get back into the trade. Don't need that. Let me bring myself back over so y'all can see what it is. There I am. There's the disclaimer for today. And let me see if I can put the Baba somewhere. All right, so y'all can see it now. So here was my trade. And if you're new to trading, of course, there are unlimited amounts of ways that you can trade. I like to keep mine as simple as possible, basically using more capital, less skill. And so the more capital you have, the easier it is to get some profits in terms of targeting a smaller profit percentage, right? So Tanner, thanks for joining. Everybody, thanks for joining. If you're still tapped in with me, like I said, just shout me out, give me some likes, tap into the live. But what we're looking at right now is my trade that I did. I made $260 on Baba, as you can see right here today. Purchase contract for today, and we're just doing a trading recap. So, like I said, I like to trade on the 30-minute time frame. We saw a gap down, which is this white area. I'm going to move myself up just a little bit. We saw a gap down, which was this white area from the pre-market or the after hours trading for yesterday going into today. We had some strong bearish sentiment, but the first candle that opened up today was a bullish engulfing candle. I even measured out this last candle here, brought it over to the first candle to show what size it needed to be for it to be officially a bullish engulfing. Once it closed as a bullish engulfing candle, that was my signal to take calls. I waited a little bit for this pullback. I could have gotten and executed even faster, but that's always the tricky part when you're waiting for somewhat of a pullback on the next candle. Jumped in, quick scalp, made the money, and was outro like Gwyneth Paltrow. But I'll come back to that as people join. I definitely want to keep tapping in and going over like what the market looked like today, because it was a bit weird. It was a bit choppy. The trading for today was a little bit off, and that might be because yo, what's up, Ty Brim? Thanks for joining, bruh. That might be because we might be expecting CPI data later or tomorrow. Actually, I'm bringing that to about right there. All right. So let's take a look at how this market was today. Try to bring this down. All right. This is always so gnarly trying to share and do this like this. I really need to get OBS set up. All right. So what we're looking at right here is the Baba chart, but let's look at how the rest of the day was going for the day. Mm-hmm. The money I'm stacking, the dope be flipping it up and flipping it. All right, cool. So this is the SPY. This is how SPY traded today, which is a little choppy, a little gnarly, especially with these candle wicks that kind of came through at the end of the day. This would have been somewhat of a bullish move to take, bouncing off of yesterday's 50% and then going up to the top side. Kay Suleiman, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. User 923819, thank you for joining. Just give me a couple of likes on the live, y'all, so we can get it popping, and let me know what you're looking for if you are new to options trading so I can help you out. I'm all about giving value. But so what we're talking about right here is what SPY looked like for today. So it ended bullish, but it was choppy, and it got into this gap range. So what we saw today was a lot of gap downs. the after hours trading going into the pre-market trading for today, a lot of ticker symbols, including SPY, including BABA, showed a drop down. And that's indicated here with this rectangle for SPY. So we saw this strong bearish movement to the downside. Yo, what's up, Sally? Thanks for joining. And then we saw this upside momentum and this upside push to close out that gap. So if you're the gap fill strategy type of trader, this really worked out today for you. I always wanted to be a gap fill strategy trader, but for me, for what I've seen and what I've focused on, gap fills don't fill as quickly as they used to, like in that 2020, 21, and beginning part of 2022 era. So that's just something to keep in mind there. But like we said, so if you're new to trading, each one of these bars or rectangles that you see on a screen or a chart is what's known as a candlestick. Now, if it's green, that means it's bullish or the price went up. And of course, if it's red, that means that it is bearish or the price went down. But essentially what we're looking at is, and if you could tell right here where the mouse is, this is a 30-minute chart, meaning that each one of these squares or rectangles represents 30 minutes in time. So you could change it to a 15-minute chart, a 1 hour, a 10-minute, or even a daily chart. And that would change the time frame for these, meaning that each one would respectively be that amount of time. So, yo, what's up, Sir Alex? Thanks for tapping in, man. I appreciate you joining. Thank you. Thank you. But what we're talking about is the trade of the day, which was $260 that I made trading BABA calls. It took me roughly like 5 minutes, something like that. Let me see if I could check out really quick how long that trade was. Bear with me, y'all. Let me tap in here right quick. So my trade today, what's up, Jess? What's up? What's up, Joe? Thank you for joining, Joe. So right now we're talking about my trade today, made $260. We're doing a trade recap. So if you guys have any questions, if you're new to options trading, just let me know. Shout out to Kay Anderson. I see you. Thanks for joining. But today I made $260 in a few minutes. Appreciate that. Hi, Jess. How are you doing today? How are you doing tonight? If there's any questions about trading options, just let me know, because my goal is to give you the most value, and I do it for the beginners. So I always take it from a basic level for the beginners out there. Roman, thanks for joining. Shout out to you. Thank you for stopping by. But my trade of the day was BABA. So if you're just joining, and hopefully, Jess, you're still there, I'm going to break it down for you exactly what I did today. And as a matter of fact, let me turn off some of these indicators just to get the ones out of the way that really aren't necessary. Bear with me for just a moment, because I definitely want to keep it simple and make sure that it makes the most sense. So I'll just turn off those. But if it's still a little noisy, just let me know. All right. So what we have here is the stock chart for BABA, Alibaba. I'm pretty sure all of us are familiar with Alibaba. They're a big online retailer, kind of like Amazon, but over for China. Now, what we're looking at is what we call a 30-minute stock chart. So I like to trade on the 30-minute time frame. What does that mean? That means that each one of these rectangles, each one of these squares represents 30 minutes of time. Now, what we saw today, let me kind of bring this in. Over here on the left-hand side, hopefully, Jess, you're still there. Oh, on the left-hand side, this was the after hours trading that happened at the end of the day yesterday. So when the market closed yesterday, this trading here in blue was the trades that happened. And then over here on the right-hand side, kind of in the middle, this orange shade is what happened in the pre-market. The pre-market trading is what happens before the market officially opens up. So what we see here, what platform do I use? Okay, so this charting platform that you see in front of you, Jess, is a platform called TradingView. So let me show you. Let's see if I can move it over just a little bit. Can I drag this and move it to the screen? This is what the app looks like. Hopefully you can see it right here on my screen. It has this little what's moving around, but it's called TradingView, and you can download it on every kind of device. So they got the desktop, which is what you're looking at right now. They have one for the phone. They've got one for your tablet, iPads, everything like that, which I think is super dope. And they all sync up together very seamlessly. You don't even have to do anything. And if you're charting just like this on your computer, and then you move over to your phone, all your updates over there. So good question, Jess. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Like Jess, if you got any questions, this is for beginners. I like to take it step by step. So if you are new to trading, you've had some interest in option trading, but you've never had an opportunity to get somebody to go through the step-by-step questions for you, that's why we're here today. So just do me a favor, give me some likes, show me some love, because I want to give you all the most value as possible. So getting questions in the chat, getting those likes definitely keeps me motivated. But So we're going through my trade for today, which was Alibaba. I made $260. I'm pulling up over here on my tablet how long this trade was. I don't think it was more than like 10 minutes, but I made 260 bucks. And if you have any questions whatsoever about my trading, please let me know. I do my charting. This is what we're doing right now on a platform called Trading View. And what I was talking about earlier is the chart that I like to the time frame that I like to do my charting on is the 30-minute time frame. Now, you could do what's best for you. I'm what's known as a scalper, which means that my trades are very quick. I like to get in and out. And statistically speaking, for myself, my winning trades are usually 10 minutes or less. That's just based off all the data that I have from my trading journal. So let me just get into it right now so you guys get what's what the punchline was for my trade today. So we saw that there was a gap down from the after hours trading from yesterday going into this morning's pre-market. And then we had a lot of bearish sentiment. Each one of these red candles tells you that there was bearish and that they were pushing the price down. Now I'm going to kind of zoom in here. Right here where the cursor is at is that transfer from going from the pre-market into the actual opening of the market today. Now, what I saw from this first candle was what we call a bullish engulfing. And that's usually when the next candle, the one that my cursor's on right now, when it is substantially bigger, both on the top side and the bottom side, than the previous candle, that's called an engulfing. So if it's bullish, meaning that it started from the bottom and the price rose, that makes it a bullish engulfing. And if it's bearish, meaning that it started from the top and it ended at the bottom, meaning that the price went down, that's a bearish engulfing. And the reason why that's important is because it basically signals that whatever side is in control. And that's what we saw. So for this 30 minutes of time, it was a bullish engulfing, meaning that this candle right here swallowed up this one. It even swallowed up the one before that too. And that let me know, okay, the bulls, the people driving the price up, they've got a lot of controls. And this is a good opportunity to enter calls, basically betting that the price of Alibaba stock is going to continue to rise. So I got in on calls on this candle right here, which was 7 in the morning West Coast time. So I am in California. I trade on West Coast time. The market opens up at 6:30 for me. So at 7 a.m., I jumped in on calls, quickly got in and out, and then I made my 260 bucks. My profit target just in general is about 5%. And that's what we see here. $260 was 5.32% of my trade. I'm not a greedy person. If I can make a few $100s each day, I'm happy. You know, $300 each day, 260 to 300 bucks is like $65,000-$70,000 a year. No need to be greedy. You can take your time and just build up. So hopefully, Jess, you are still on. I'm hoping that that answers some questions for you, but I really want to get into whatever questions you have. So if you want to look at some ticker symbols, if you have questions about options trading, don't hesitate to drop those in the chat. And if you're just joining right now, a big shout out to you. Let me get some likes. I'm going to log in over here and try to see if I can get my tablet to recognize me. And it didn't. So got all this stuff blocking. And there we go. Now I'm in there. Now I can give you all the time on how long this trade took exactly. All right, so I got in at 7:04 a.m. and got out at 7:10 a.m. So it took 6 minutes. It took 6 minutes for that trade, 260 bucks. I don't want to like oversell it or make it seem like it's easier than what it really is. But as you cultivate the skill of becoming an options trader, you can basically exponentially capitalize on your skill set. So what used to take me, days or weeks to make this amount of money, I'm now able to get it down to within a few minutes. But it takes a lot of practice, a lot of determination, discipline, and commitment. But I don't know if you're still on, Jess. I really appreciate you asking those questions. Jess, what is the RIN weight for you? Good question. So I have one question for you. What time frame are you looking at? Are we looking at just January? Are we looking at, from when I officially started trading? For me, when I officially intentionally meant that I really wanted to try, I wanted to become a full-time trader. That for me was January 1st, 2023. But I did my first options trade in June of 2020. But for the first 2.5 years, I really just effed off. I really didn't try. So over long term, I don't know from June of 2020. But what I will do is I'll bring up my TradeZella or not. Yeah, TradeZella. I don't know if you're familiar with TradeZella, but it is a trade journal platform, and that helps to log all my trades. Let me kind of get myself moved in a certain way, and we can kind of see. So I signed up for TradeZella in March of 2023, so last year. And then I also have a trading journal. So I keep my trading journal here as well. Um, but let me bring up TradeZella because you could put anything in an Excel sheet. Give me just one moment. Let's bring up TradeZella. See if we can log in. All right, all right. And yeah. All right, so here is my overall P&L, Jess. I don't know if you're still there, but here is my overall P&L for TradeZella. So this is basically like over the past year, $2,400. So since I signed up with TradeZella, this is how much money I made. But like I'll keep it real. Oh, let me move my camera back over. My bad, you can't see me. There we go. So here's my long term, basically from the time that I signed up for TradeZella and is logged all of my. There you go. I see you. Thanks, Jess. This is logged all of my trades from the time that I signed up with TradeZella, which was back in March of 2023. So I've made about 2,400 bucks. There you go. There's the long and short of it. One thing to keep in mind is that I do not trade a lot. That's one of the things from June of 2020, from the first time that I did my very first ever options trade. I was always over trading. And one thing that I quickly learned is that less trades typically will indicate more money. So I went from doing 5, 10 trades a day to now one of my trading rules is to do no more than 3 trades in one day. No more than 3 trades. Typically, an average day for me now is 1 trade. So give me just a moment. Let me see if I can get this up over here for you so we could take a look. All right, so here's like the journal right here. I need to bring it down so you can kind of see it, but this is what January is looking like. These are my trades so far for January. So you can see Alibaba today, 260 bucks, 26 bucks, 98, 128. I lost 273. I over traded on January 8th, Jess. So I broke my trading rule. I really should only have 3 trades in a day, no more than 3, but I have 4 trades. So this is just like the beginning of what the January is looking like for me. $75, January 5th, decline, 104. So you can kind of see this is a realistic view. I'm not gonna front. I'm not cherry picking. You're just seeing all my trades right there. What's up, Miami? What's up? What's up? Jess says, what times do you trade during the day? Good question. Good question. So what I can show you, and remember, Jess, I am on West Coast time. I'm California time. So if you're in a different time zone, you just kind of have to adjust for that in your mind. But if we go over here to my trading journal, you can see I log my signal times over here. Let me kind of move myself out the way. So let me bring this down just a little bit. And TradeZella will tell me this too. But here are the times that I saw my signals, the candles that I acted upon, right? So 7:30, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 7:30, 6:30, 8 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 8, 6:30. So we can say if we were to do a rough average on this, within the first like 2 hours of the market being open is when I take my trades. So for me in California, the market opens up at 6:30 a.m. And we can say real roughly based off of my trading journal here, by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I should be done trading. Not that I should be done, but just typically I'm done trading. So that's the typical times that I trade during the day. But I trade options. So I only have the time that the stock market is open to do my trades. It's not like Forex or some of the other financial instruments that trade with longer sessions and 24 hours and different time zones. For trading US options, I only have from 6:30 a.m. California time to 1 o'clock p.m. California time to trade options. And as we can see here for my trading journal, I typically get my trades done by 10 o'clock in the morning, if not sooner. I really appreciate the questions, Jess. I really do. Yep, yep. Anything else that you could possibly think of, just let me know, so that I can answer as many questions as possible and give you as much value as possible, Jess. I appreciate you so much. And if you don't mind, give your boy just a like or two or share the live. That would mean a great deal to me. But all right, let's keep it rolling. So that was my Alibaba trade. And I think we could kind of see some similarities in other areas because a lot of the stock market, especially for bigger companies, they tend to move in the same way. And so here we're looking at Alibaba, but if we go over to SPY, which is of course the most popular ticker symbol following the S&P 500, and it is really the most popular ticker symbol to do trades to trade on. So we can see kind of like the same thing. We saw a gap down somewhat. Let me kind of zoom in on it. Let me zoom in. So between the after hours, wow, that zoomed in a lot. But between the after hours, oops. All right, let me knock that off. All right, and I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so we can see this. All right, cool. My bad, Jess, if you're still there. All right, so this is the SPY S&P 500 ETF that follows the market. Over here, kind of on the left side in that darker shade of blue, this was the after hours trading for yesterday. And then over here on the right hand side, this was the trading for today, the pre-market trading before the market even opened up. And we saw a gap down, just like what we saw in Alibaba. And this is the 30-minute chart. I like to trade on the 30-minute time frame. So that means each one of these candlesticks, each one of these bars represents 30 minutes of time. But as we can see, let me kind of bring this down a little bit. The same kind of thing that happened with Alibaba happened with SPY. We had this last candle right here that closed the pre-market. And then when the market opened up, we had a bullish signal. Let me kind of bring this up a little bit. So this first candle right here where the cursor is at, this is a bullish signal. This is basically a hammer. And when you see a hammer, that's basically an indication that price is going to be moving to the upside. And that's what we saw right here. So you could have done the same type of trade that I did with Alibaba. You could do it with SPY, and the market pretty much moved in the same way. And of course, if you have a little bit more patience and you're not a scalper like myself, you could have held on and made some good money today until it went and closed this gap. And I talked about the gap fill strategy. That's also a way to trade when you identify gaps and you see that the price is moving in that direction. Yo, what's up, Mocha Ray? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Just give me some likes, share the live, please. But we're just going over what happened in the market today. And this is for new traders. So if you've been interested in trading options and you see these charts and they don't make any sense to you, this will help you learn about it. And the best way that I can teach and give y'all value is if you drop questions about what you see in front of you, or if you have a question about something else, go ahead and drop that in the chat so that I can address it as well. But yeah, so if you're tapped in with me, give me a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you are tapped in. If you're linked in with me right now, please. All right. So Mokare says, I just now saw the message that you were live. That's right. That's right. I wonder, does it show you anywhere when I went live, anything like that? Or does it give you any indication of how long I've been live? Just wanted to let you know. But Mocha Ray, if you're listening, because I think you might be the only one rocking with me right now, I'm going to do a recap of my trade that I did today. So today I made $260 trading Alibaba, which is the Chinese version of Amazon. It's the online retailer over there in Asia. So I made 260 bucks. This trade took about 4 minutes. And I remember when I first got into options trading, to be able to make this much money, it probably would take me about a week or 2 weeks to get this much money. And that's the one thing about options trading is you really have to stay disciplined and stay consistent, because over time, your skill set will exponentially shrink, meaning that you're going to be able to make more amounts of money in shorter amounts of time, the better you get at options trading. All right. So here's the trade. Here's a screenshot of the contracts or of the trade itself. 260 bucks, roughly 5%, which is about my profit target. I don't need to be greedy. I like to get 5%. That's good for me, and I could keep it pushing. Mocha says, yes, I received a notification that said you were going live 28 minutes ago. Thank you kindly. Thank you. All right. So I always like to do time checks just to see how long I've been live and how long it takes people to get notification and when they jump in. But now let's go over the trade that I did, show you what I saw and how I acted upon it. So what we see in front of us right here is what's known as a stock chart. And so each one of these rectangles that you see is what's known as a candlestick. And each one represents the same amount of time. Now, people will ask, what time frame do you trade on? And there's all kinds of different time frames. But for me personally, I like to trade on the 30-minute time frame. So what that means that you can see 30 back here in the watermark. What that means is each one of these candlesticks represents 30 minutes of time. So 30 minutes of time, each one of these that you see, but you can change it. As you can see up here, they can be 5 minutes, 7, 10, 15, 1 hour, daily, 3 minutes. You can change that to any time frame that works best for you. I've learned through my experience that the 30-minute works best for me. Now, candlesticks equals time frames. That's very true. Yeah, they're pretty much synonymous. Yo, Kai 365, thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate you, bro. So candlesticks do equal time. You could pretty much say that, or time frame. You just want to be aware of what time frame they're representing. And for me, like I said, I trade on the 30-minute. Thank you for the rose, Mocha Ray. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it so much. Y'all, if you are tapped in, please give me a like. Shout out to Kai365. I appreciate you stopping by, and I appreciate any time that you spend rocking with me tonight. We are going over my Alibaba trade, just breaking it down for any beginners, any newbies out there, so we can ask all the questions, tell y'all what I was looking for, show y'all everything like that. In the background, I got my TradeZella journal, so you can see that the trades are legit. All right. So what we've talked about so far, if you're new to trading options or stock trading or looking at stock charts, this is a stock chart. Each one of these rectangles is what's known as a candlestick, and they all represent the same amount of time. You can tell that this is the 30-minute chart because we got the 30 watermark right here. So each one of these represents 30 minutes. Now let's get into the trade. Let's break it down so I could give y'all the meat and potatoes of this and give you some real value. Okay, so what I saw today, coming from the after hours trading, which is in this kind of blue area right here where the cursor is at, going into today, the pre-market trading, which is right here with this orange area, there was a gap down. So with this gap down, that indicated that there was bearish sentiment, that the bears were going to push the price of Alibaba down. Now, when we get over here to right before the market opened, we still have that bearish sentiment. As you can see, price going down. What I saw was that the very first candle that opened up the stock market was a bullish engulfing. So let me zoom in and we can really take a look at that. And what is a bullish engulfing? So a bullish engulfing candle basically is when one candle swallows up in size the candle before it. So we can clearly see that this candle right here basically is much bigger than the one right before it. And even the two, if you combine these, so that's what's called an engulfing candle, because it basically engulfs the candle or candlesticks before it. And whenever you see any type of engulfing, whether it's bullish, meaning that price is heading up, or it's bearish, meaning the price is going down, that tells you for the most part in that moment, in that time frame, yo, this is who's in control. So when I saw these two things, that we had a bullish engulfing that opened up the market. What's up, Gerald? Thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you for stopping in. I appreciate you. If you got any questions, just drop them in the chat. Drop some likes on the live. We're going over my Alibaba trade, which was $260 in about 5 minutes, 4 minutes of trading time. And we're going over what exactly was my thought process to make this $260 in just a quick few minutes trading stock options. So let me kind of sum it up, but recap for those of us that are just joining, but already been on here. I really appreciate the likes. Thank you so much. So we had a gap down. Now, when it comes to trading stocks and stock options, there is a general school of thought or rule of thumb that price will eventually gravitate back up to or down to wherever it gapped. It has to correct itself. And because there's a gap here in this white shaded area, the price is going to try to fight to correct itself and say, hey, whoa, hold on. We have to make sense. We have to show how we got down here. We can't just magically appear down here without having some type of trace as to how it happened. So price would typically fight to close gaps. And that's actually a trading style that people trade. They call it the gap fill strategy. Now, what I saw that told me that Alibaba was going to try to close this gap was this bullish engulfing, meaning that the bulls, the buyers were in control and they were going to try to drive the price higher to close this gap. So those were my two signals that I leaned on. This gap down, realizing that the gap needed to be closed, and this bullish engulfing showing that the buyers were trying to push to close the gap. Once this bullish engulfing candle formed or closed, So this was from 6:30 a.m. California time to 7 o'clock. On this 7 o'clock candle right here, when the 7 o'clock candle opened up, I bought calls. But of course, with the stock market, anything could happen. You never know if it's going to continue to go up, if it's going to stall out, or if it's going to drop back down. So what helps with that is not being greedy, which is why I only needed 5%. So once I got my 5% right here, that's $260. I went ahead and exited the trade and got out profitable because as we can see, the price kind of stalled out. So instead of it still going up to fill this gap, look what happened. Alibaba got stuck right here for the whole day. It got stuck in this range for the whole day and it did not move. So that's the important part about not being greedy when you trade or just being familiar with what they call price action. And price action is basically having a familiarity of how price is moving versus what you think is going to happen, right? So if price is kind of staying in a certain area, you probably want to exit your trade. And that's what I did. Had I held on to it, I probably would have broke even or not even broke even, but I wouldn't have made much more than the $260 that I made. But it was just better just to get out and not play any games. So that's a recap of my trade. Now, if anybody has any questions about that, about what other things I took into consideration, this and that, just let me know. You could drop that in the chat and I'm right there with you. All right, Jess asked important question. I'm glad to see you're back, Jess. How much money do we need to start trading? And that is a good question. I actually have a couple of videos on that in my TikTok. And so to answer it in this moment, I would say, and I like to give value, I don't like to BS, right? I would say realistically, at a minimum, you want to start with $2,500 just to kind of give you some real breathing room and to give you enough capital so that when you take trades and you get profit, you could feel the profit. But you also want to exercise risk management. So if you're on here, please drop some likes, give me a follow, things of that nature. But to answer your question, Jess, I would say $2,500. I even think I have a video on my TikTok about that. So let me see if I can pull it up for us. Let me see. Hopefully, I'm still signed in on TikTok on my computer. Let's see if it'll open up. Looks like I'm still signed in. Let's see if we can find that video, Jess. And y'all, let me know, how does my audio sound? Does it? I got this microphone, so hopefully it's or and I'm on the phone too. But overall, is my audio good? Is it decent? Is it bad? All right. Mocha Ray says, what type of options contracts can I get with $500, or are most contracts more than that? No, that's a pretty expensive. You can get a lot of different options contracts. So if we take a look now, if you're trading options, you got to remember that there are a lot of components, pardon me, where you have to multiply by 100. So here today, I got 52 contracts of Alibaba with an average cost of, it appears as 94 cents, but you have to remember you've got to multiply by 100. So each contract cost me about 94 bucks. Thank you, Jess, letting me know the audio is good. Thank you, Mokaray, letting me know the audio sound is crystal clear and listening on an iPhone 14. Thank you both. I appreciate you. So I'm glad you asked that question, both of you, about how much it starts trading. I haven't forgot about you, Jess, but to answer your question directly, I would say about $2,500 because you get enough breathing room to get profits that you could really feel, but you also have enough capital to really exercise good risk management. And so what does that mean? Risk management means you don't want to put all your money in on one single trade. The name of the game when it comes to options trading is to have longevity. And the number one way that you can have longevity is exercising risk management. So for instance, if you've got $2,500 to trade with, I would recommend that you break it down into 5 or divide by 5 at a minimum. So that means each one of your trades should not be any more than $500, which goes to the perfect segue. Mocha Ray is asking, with $500, what kind of contracts could you get? So with that being said, if you took the same trade as me with $500, you could have got into this Alibaba trade as well. We can see right here that the average cost of my contracts is $94. So, and I got 52 of those. So you just do 94 times 52, which will give you the total that I paid. But if you only have 500 bucks, you would have got 5 contracts, and then you would have multiplied that by 5%, which would have gave you like 50 bucks or $25, which is cool, which is good. That's how I started. If I go back to my trading stats, of March of 2023, that's about how much money I was making at that time, which is like $20 to $50 a day. So that's very realistic. I don't like to sell dreams or gas y'all up and try to have you thinking that you're just going to make a ton of money overnight. That's not the case. But a good starting point, Jess, is $2,500. And if you have 2,500, you want to break that down or use risk management to do no more than $500 per trade. And that's how I do it. I usually take my overall portfolio size or account size and divide that into 4 or 5. Jess says, do you buy out of the money calls and puts? So for those of us that might not know, what Jess is referring to is this terminology known as out of the money or in the money. And to keep it short so that we don't get too confused, that basically means how close to the current stock price do you buy your options contract strike price? And strike price, just to keep it simple, basically means is what's your goal, right? So the strike price is where do you bet that the stock is going to get to? So if your strike price is $100, what you're saying is my goal is that it gets to $100. Not the best way, but I just want to keep it simple. So what Jess is saying, do I buy out of the money? Now, out of the money means, do you buy it far away from the current price of the stock, or do you buy it close to the current price? So right here, what we see is at this time when I took this screenshot, the current price of Alibaba was $71.86. But we can't see it on here what my actual what's name is. Give me just a moment. I'll show you the contract. Bring it over. And I bought $72 calls. So this was close to the money. It wasn't that far out of the money. And to reiterate, Jess, to answer your question more simply, I tried to buy as close to the strike price as possible. So you could say at the money or in the money. So just a quick recap for me personally, the way that I trade, I like to buy my options contracts as close to the money as possible. So at this time, Alibaba, when I took the screenshot, it was at $71.86. And the calls that I bought were $72 calls. So they were just shy of being in the money. I hope that helps. All right. Mocha Ray says, realistically, I would feel comfortable with spending a max of $500 for a contract. Okay. So if you think about that, right? So here, the average cost of my contracts right here was $94. That means one contract was $94. And I bought 52 of those. So 52 times 94 gives you the total amount of what I spent, which was, let me see. $4,800. So I spent $4,800 on that, a total. All right, we got some different people trying to get on the live, but awesome. Yep. Thank you, Jess. So Mocha Ray, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying total per trade, if I hear you correctly, you feel comfortable doing $500 per trade. And if I'm understanding you correctly, that means you could have gotten at least 5 of these Alibaba contracts that I did today. You could have bought $500 worth. And my profit percentage was 5.32. So let's just bring this up and see, what you would have made. Let's just say, oops, my bad. Bring this back up. I got to bring it over so y'all can see. All right, simple calculator, 500 times 5.3. Oops, let me bring that back. It's always a little tricky trying to look through the phone and the camera to do this. Boom. So $26. You would have made $26, $27 today. But I know it could be like, hey, I'm scoffing at that, or that's not a lot of money. And that's one thing that I'm constantly reminding people about is that just imagine if you're averaging 26, let's just round it to 27. If you're averaging $27 a day times 5, that's an extra $130, $135 a week. This is a rough average. Let's just say rough average. That means you have some trades that are more, some trades that are below or less, some trades that are break even. But let's just say your rough average is $27 a day. That's an extra $135 a week. And then if you times that by 4, that's an extra $540 a month, which I think would help anybody. If you're getting an extra $500 a month, you're at least taking care of some solid bills in your life, right? Cell phone bill, some groceries, things like that. And I know in the realm of options trading, it could get so easy to be like, well, that's no money. That's nothing. But that's not the mentality that you want to have. Like I just said, back in March of 2023, my average trade was $20 to $30. So this didn't happen overnight for me. I just didn't get to this stage where now I'm getting $260 a trade. I started off exactly right here. I started off exactly right here in this moment where I was only getting $20 to $30 a trade. If you've been following me on TikTok or if you've been following me on Instagram, I posted all those screenshots. Every screenshot, no matter how embarrassing it was, I posted it all. And it's all about consistency, discipline, and sticking with it. So just imagine in about a year and a half, going from $20 to $30 a trade now to $260 a trade. And that's the awesome thing about options trading, right? You often hear this thing about the longer you do it, the more your skill set shrinks your time. And then the amount of money you make exponentially grows, it scales out. And I'm the perfect example of that. So please don't get discouraged. If you can only do $500 a trade, start there and build yourself up. And that's going to actually help you build your skill set, your discipline, and your consistency. If you have a lot of money to play around with when you're first starting options trading, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose it and you're going to be mentally and emotionally devastated. So it's actually a blessing for you if you have less money to start with. And trust me, like I said before, when I was talking to Jess, hopefully, Jess, you're still on. The reason why I only consider January 1st of 2023 as my starting point, it was because that was the moment in time where I truly and intentionally committed to myself that I was going to be a full-time options trader. That's my goal. That's my aspiration. That's where my ambition and my passion is at. Now, I did my first options trade, and actually, if you I actually have this on a timeline, so you have access to all of this stuff. You have access to all of these different things. If you join the community, Passive Income University, you get the first 30 days free. I'm not trying to shield, but I just figured it was a good opportunity to put that out there. Let me zoom out a little bit. I have a timeline available that anybody can see that shows all of my quote unquote milestones, and I'm constantly adding to this so people could see realistically. So June 8th of 2020, I did my first options trade. I made $50. I wish I need to kind of zoom out a little bit so you guys can see this, but I know it might be a little hard. But I have my full kind of like timeline on here. And then if anybody remembers, during the COVID time, it was a bull market, so it was easy to make money. August of 2020, I had my first 1K trade. September, my first 5K. But look here, I was working with a lot of money, didn't know what I was doing. March 19th, 2021, my largest single trade, I lost $3,000 in one trade. $3,000 because I didn't know about risk management. I didn't know about, you know, basically breaking the trades down, right? If you only have $2,500 to trade with, I was trading with my full account, losing the money. I've done all kind of things like that. So I want to show y'all. And then look right here, just like I told you, look right here on this line, March 30th of 2023, my average winning trade was $20, $20. And then at the end of last year, my average winning trade was 121. So you can see it just growing up. And just keeping it real, I don't hide anything right here. As of January 1st, 2024, the amount of money that I made in 2023 was actually a loss. So I had lost $516. But so I'm just showing the real deal, showing the honest truth, and I don't hide anything. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't try to make it seem like, hey, if you come over here, you're just going to make unlimited amounts of money. I definitely do think it's possible, but I also think you have to put the work in. I've learned that the hard way. So I'm trying to do it so you don't have to learn it the hard way either. But with that being said, just want to shout out my community that I have, Passive Income University. So if you join today, you get the first 30 days free. I'll show y'all what it looks like. So this is the Discord community. I'll bring it over here. Let me show you. If you're still rocking with me, thanks for joining. Yo, Anthony Johnson, thanks for joining. So just going over the Discord community, we have access to everything: courses, videos, Q&As. The community, you get access to every single video, all the resources. I also do giveaways. That's one of the things I'm the most proud of. So in 2023, I did a total of $500 in giveaways to community members. My goal for this year is to do a minimum of at least $1,000 in giveaways, if not more. But that's my minimum goal, is to hit $1,000 minimum. But I have all of that in here. So you can see where people have getting cash apped. I've sent money to people. I send money to people, $100, $50. I try to, do it when I can, just to show support and to thank you to everybody that has been rocking with me, that has supported me. All right, let me just kind of look through the phone. I'm always kind of look around, but we have the options trade. Now, like I said, my community is not a signals Discord. Now, I definitely from time to time will give a heads up at trades that I'm looking at. It's a little bit more of a challenge because I'm a scalper. So I get in and out of my trades very fast. Like I was telling Jess earlier, my average winning trade is 10 minutes or less. So I don't set up my community as a signals community. I set it up as a way to teach people how to fish so they can develop their own strategy and their own style when it comes to trading. And then they could go ahead and make their own money and do all those kind of things. But with that being said, let me go to the trading chat room and I'll show a few examples. Like here on January 1st, I gave a heads up that I was looking at Amazon calls for a quick scalp. That was at 6:53 a.m. And then I put the exact contracts that I was looking at. Here are the contracts. Let me kind of blow it up. Oh, it came over to the side. All right, this is getting crazy. I show the contracts that I was looking at. And then I show that I got in and out. Let me keep going, show a couple of other examples. Like I said, it isn't a signals community. It's just more so for giving a heads up. All right, here is another one. So this was December 11th. And I said, I'm looking to enter calls on Apple depending on this candle and price action. So I sent a picture of the chart. I showed the calls that I was in, the actual contracts. Yes, yes, yes. Passive Income University for the win. Thank you, Mocha Ray. That's right. And then I showed the scout, took profits, I'm out. So I do what I can, especially if it's a trade that I'm very, very confident in. I have a lot of conviction and I have enough time to give the heads up. I drop it in there. But like I said, 30 days free if you join. After that, it's just $10 a month and you get access to all of our resources. So all of the courses and trainings, all the videos that I've done before when we have Zoom trainings, they're all in here. And it's not just those videos. There's also things on real estate. There's also videos on resume building, things of that nature. I connect with different people in my sphere of influence. I have them come on as guests and they basically just give their expertise and their knowledge. So you could come in here and get access to everything. And there is a Passive Income University channel. And like I said, all of our private videos, you get access to all of those to help you train or to help you get educated. My bad. But here was the resume building webinar. So you can see all that. Here's the real estate webinar. So you can go in and check all those things. So the community members have lifetime access to these things. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Any other questions? Anything about Passive Income University? Anything about, I appreciate the likes. I appreciate y'all sharing. Anything of that nature, y'all let me know. Just kind of taking a look back at the market and how things went today. Thank you. Mocha Ray says she just subscribed. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mocha Ray. Appreciate you. That means a whole lot, a great deal to you, boy. That means how do I react? How do I give like a react back? How do I react? I can only like the live. Can I react? Can I react back? Can I react back to it? Thank you so much, Mokray. First one. I appreciate it. Now I got to really tap into how I do the unique benefits for people who subscribe to the live. But here we go. So I want to make sure once I hit the 1 hour mark, I'll wrap it up. Just want to keep these nice and sweet, concise, things of that nature. But if you do have any questions before I slide out of here, please let me know. I'm even going to do a little bit of charting so that y'all know what I see. So let's take a look at Google. All right, so here's how Google did. Now, Google was overall bearish with no gap. It had no gap down over here on the left-hand side. It did have a bearish engulfing candle, which is what we see where the cursor is moving over here. The pre-market was very bearish. It came down. It ended with some bullish engulfing. So just like what we did with Alibaba, you could do the same thing with Google, but you could have let this ride all the way up to the upside and made some good money today. But for whatever reason, I just didn't have my eyes on Google like that. I didn't see it lining up. But that was a strong play. Google had some good activity today. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, let's take a look at Amazon. And for the most part, what you'll notice is that a lot of the big companies typically move about the same way. So you see about the same thing with Amazon. Now, if you're new to trading, one thing I'll recommend, and this was one thing that I didn't do because when I first got into trading and I'm learning about like all of these different candlestick patterns, and I kind of just shoo them away. I thought they were nonsense. But instead of them being nonsense, you can actually start there to help you develop a strategy. Once again, shout out and thank you, Mocha Ray, for subscribing. But you can actually start off with those simple candlestick patterns that you see like all over online or the internet or TikTok or social media, Instagram. You could start off with one of those, one that makes the most sense to you, and then build your strategy around that. So what we see right here with this bearish candlestick, and then we have a bullish candlestick that's exactly the same size. This is what's called a, thanks for joining, Anthony. Thank you for joining, Anthony Johnson. This is what's called a tweezer candlestick pattern. And whatever's on the right-hand side gives way to what could or should be happening with the price. So with this tweezer candlestick pattern, which is where you see two candlesticks that are opposite each other, so a bearish and a bullish, that are the exact kind of like size, they look like twins. This tweezer candlestick pattern lets you know that there's going to basically be a reversal. And that's exactly what we saw with Google right here, or Amazon, my bad. This is Amazon, all the way to the upside. Now, if this was flip-flopped, what we would expect, so if this bearish candle was over on the right-hand side and it was red, we would expect it to be a downturn, a downtrend with the price. So that's one strategy if you're new to options trading that you can lean on. I think is really easy for the eyes to recognize a tweezer pattern. And that's actually one that I keep in mind. So had I saw this tweezer, I might have been inclined to take calls to the upside with Amazon right when the market opened. So just wanted to drop off that game like that right there and tap in with y'all. But if you spent any time with me today on this live, it means a great deal. I really, really do appreciate it. I appreciate everybody asking questions, dropping likes, all of that. Yo, what's up, Steve? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. We're just going over my trade today. Simple trade, made $260 doing Alibaba calls. And I went over what I looked for and what I did with that trade. So here's Alibaba. And basically, we saw this gap down in the pre-market or the after hours going into the pre-market for today. We saw a lot of bearish sentiment. I saw this bullish engulfing candle. Also, the bounce off of yesterday's low. That was the indication to me that there should be a little bit of upside momentum. I took some calls for a quick scalp right in this area, made $260 and I was out. But what we saw was Alibaba was struggling to get past the 50% mark from yesterday. So when I saw this kind of shakiness, I knew I made the right decision by getting out of that trade and not being greedy. But that was just a quick recap. Obviously, I do this for the beginners and all the new folks out there. So, Steve, if you're on, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you don't mind, give your boy a like or a share, give me a follow. I do all of my content is for new traders because I know how hard it is when you first start trading options to get some simple one-on-one step-by-step Q&A answers. And so that's my whole goal and my whole aim to give people values, to do the simple questions to help people make sense of what they see. If you don't know what candlesticks are, if you've never really interacted with stock charts, if you want to learn about the pricing on options contracts, how much do you spend? How much does it take? All of those basic questions and beginning questions is what I like to focus on, building up to more advanced options. So thank you all for joining and rocking with me today. I really do appreciate it. I do need to get a marker though on when I started the live. That's the real question. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, but with that being said, let me take a look. I'm going to try to rock it out for a few more minutes. Yo, Greg, thanks for joining us. Thank you for stopping by. Even if you just stopped by for a couple moments, I really do appreciate you, man. So thank you so much. We're just taking a look at my trade of the day on options trading. Made a quick $260 trading Alibaba. Really simple, nothing fancy, nothing complicated. Just broke it down for any beginner traders out there. And of course, Greg, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to drop those in the chat because that's why I'm here. And I'm trying to give as much value as I can to my audience. And if you're so inclined, if you could drop me a follow or a like, I really, really would appreciate it. So thank you so much. But here was my Alibaba trade. Just a quick recap, and I'll go back over here. I trade on the 30-minute time frame. And so what I saw was this gap down from the after hours trading from yesterday into the pre-market of today. And then we saw that price hit yesterday's low. We had a bounce from there. We also had this bullish engulfing candle that took over the previous candle in the pre-market. This was my signal just to scalp some quick calls. There was at least somewhat of an upside push to the upside. I took those. I'm not a greedy person. My profit target or my percentage is 5% per trade. So once I hit my 5%, I was out, which was great because we saw the price action kind of stall out. Alibaba ran out of gas at this daily 50% mark, and I'm glad I got out. I mean, I could have stayed in the trade for the day, but I wouldn't have made much more than like $300. So no biggie to me. I'll take 260 bucks in a few minutes and be happy and be on my way. So that's just a quick recap. But if you have any questions about that, Greg, please let me know if you're still on the live. So really do appreciate it. Really do. But I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Check out my TikTok, check out my channel. Um, Mocha Ray says I can let you know when you started by checking when I was notified you were going live. Yeah, please let me know when you're notified. I want to hit a certain threshold just so I make sure that these are short enough, but I'm also doing a good duration and being able to capture people that might come and go through the live. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But I appreciate y'all. I appreciate it. Let me see if I can see this right here. No viewers. Let me see that right there. Boom. Okay. Yep. One thing that I'm very interested in is Bank of America. Bank of America is going to have their earnings released before the market opens on Friday. So I'm very curious as to how the stock is going to perform. Even though I've been burned a lot of times by playing earnings. So I just want to make sure I maintain control and I don't play earnings. But I'm very curious as to how the stock performs. Yo, David, thanks for joining. Really appreciate you, man. We're just going over some of my trades. Today I did a one and done. I made 260 bucks trading Alibaba calls. I don't know where exactly that thing just went, but let me bring it up. Here we go. Boom. So made 260 bucks trading Alibaba calls. David, if you're still on, and I'll just do a quick breakdown for you. This is for people that are new to options trading. I saw this gap down. So that's the first indication because if you are partial to the gap fill strategy, you know that price at some point is going to try to close this gap. I also saw that we had this bullish engulfing on the first candle that opened up the day. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier is that we bounced off of yesterday's low, which is this line here. So typically what you'll see with stock prices, if you're new to trading, is you got to acknowledge and at least chart out the previous day high and the previous day low. So what we saw today was that Alibaba literally went straight down to the previous day low. It bounced right off of that, made this bullish engulfing. That was an indication to me that we had some gas. And so I went ahead, got into some calls, did a quick scalp, hit my 5% profit target, and I was outro like Gwyneth Paltrow. So really quick. But if you have any questions, if you're still on, David, just let me know. All right. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna land it and end right here. But like I said, I can't show my or express my appreciation enough to everybody that rocked. Thank you so much, Mocha Ray, for liking the live, for sharing the live, for signing up and being a subscriber and telling me about my time check. So I appreciate you so much. And I will tap in with y'all tomorrow. All right. If I can just I can't even see there we go. Mm, now in 3 minutes. Now in 3 minutes. 1 hour and 3 minutes. 3 minutes. When a stock is $10 a share, but the analyst. Mm, 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 mm.